But left to right the Bulls attack, and right to left obviously Sheffield.
So the referee then, Tom Grant, puts his hand in the air, and Lee Smith gets us underway here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium. Kicks quite deep towards the town end, as we've called it, and Sheffield will bring the ball back on the first set of this 6. So Bradford then having to defend and come to grips with Sheffield as they move the ball out through Gary Lowe over on the far stand side. On the Sackle 2. They sit round about 20 metres in from the touchline, but now they're through quick hands and they put the ball and they bring the ball right across the park, and we see a superb handoff there from Menzieri, and Menzieri then is eventually wrapped up by the Bradford, by Corey Aston and the Bradford defence. And Bradford in the early stages have been tested, and that looked quite easy for Menzieri to get away, but fortunately for Bradford on the 5th and last, it's now in the centre park. Sheffield will kick this over the ball, over the top of Ilias McCartney. Ethan Ryan will collect that one, and Ethan Ryan will make his way towards the 30-metre line in the Bradford Bulls half on the first tackle. So the ball goes through hands. Ilias McCartney then. Ilias McCartney manages to get around about 33 metres now away from the Bradford Bulls try line, and the referee, Tom Grant, gives Bradford the first penalty of the afternoon. Hobbo.
Holding down at the play of the ball from, I think it was Scotty Wheeldon, and that on about a 35-metre mark in the centre of the field. Kicked into touch, gains about 15 metres. And the drive from Bradford on the 40-metre mark into the heart of the Sheffield defence.
So, Evan Hodgson then takes the ball on the first drive. He will then feed Joe Magrin. Joe Magrin manages to offload in the tackle, but the ball goes back. It was touched by a Sheffield player, so the tackle count is wiped clean. James Bentley then, he'll offload to Corey Aston. Corey Aston back to Evan Hodgson, and Evan Hodgson manages to get Bradford Bulls onto the 40-metre line of the away from the Wakefield try line. We see Liam Kirk then taking his first drive of the afternoon. Liam Kirk uses that big frame to get Bradford to the 30-metre line. The ball's still in the centre of the park as Bradford now decide to put it through hands, and they go towards the far terrace side, open terrace side, where the dugouts are here at the Bellevue Stadium. But James Bentley cuts back in, and James Bentley manages to get Bradford now to the 20-metre line on the 4th tackle. So what can Bradford do here? They'll look to put the ball through hands, and the ball comes across. Ethan Ryan offloads to Corey Austin. Corey Austin then offloads again in the tackle, but he's eventually wrapped up there trying to get the ball away. Sam Alice is in at acting half. Sam Alice, it's Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen then finds Joe Keys, and Joe Keys storms towards the line, but Sheffield just managed to bring him down before the line on the last tackle. Then a little kick from Hallis, but that is wrapped up, and that will see Bradford get a dropout. Mark.
That's good pressure from Bradford. Some running at the line there from Joe Keys, who Sheffield planted the feet and just stood off him. Unfortunately, not quite long enough for his body to dive over the line. Held up short, but that's forcing Sheffield to drop out. And if you can't get a point, you can't score a try, you can't get a drop goal, whatever, or a penalty, force the option to drop out with every end of your sets. If you can do that, you have a chance of winning the game.
Well, I think Bradford there took the right option with a little kick, as we see Sheffield now drop out. That ball will find its way just over the 30-metre line and will go into the hands of Vila Halafifi. Vila Halafifi will then run back into the centre of the park. The ball eventually now from Sam Hallis goes to John Magrin. John Magrin returning from his injury spell, but it's now back to add a bit of beef up front for Bradford, as we see Bradford now carry on through and carry on driving with Liam Kirk. He's eventually wrapped up there by the Sheffield defence, but Bradford still go searching, still go hunting for the first try of the afternoon, and that will see Vila Halafifi score that try after 6 minutes here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium. So, all good for Bradford, Hubbo.
Yes, all good for Bradford. Great build-up play there, pressure on the line. The last set of 6 came with a dropout from Sheffield. That put the pressure back on. Bradford took it right back to the line again, and the angle running from Bradford, via Halafi coming off his right-hand side to an angle pass backwards. I think it was from, I'm sure in actual fact it was from Corey Aston, and the gap opened up, and he kept on running. Sheffield sort of wondered what he was doing because he came at the wrong angle, caught them off the opposite side of the shoulder to the defensive shoulder, Sheffield couldn't chase back across, and the gap opened up, and Bradford touched down about 4 metres to the right-hand side of the Sheffield post, and that's a great try for Bradford and a great opening. And they've looked good when they've had the ball. Bradford looked very, very good. Looked sharp in attack, run the angles, and this is a big Sheffield side. If you run the angles and attack them on the non-defensive shoulder, that's the opposite side to where they're going to put the shoulder into you, and you've got some angled runners there, then I think you do well against the Sheffield side.
Well, Corey Aston converts that one. So the score on the Providence scoreboard reads Sheffield Eagles 0, Bradford Bulls 6. After 7 minutes of this one, Bradford will get the ball back and go again at the Sheffield line. But this, although again we've seen it before.
Well, I'm just going to say let's not prompt or tempt, should I say, fate, because we were 12-0 last week against Batley, and we've seen Bradford do this a few times. But wow, what a kick off there from Sheffield! If I just explain that Sheffield kick, that's so high in the air, we couldn't see how high it was because the front of the stand drops over our vision. So it must have gone 40 foot in the air. Ethan Ryan raced from the back line. He must have raced 35 metres, and bravely, so the man just come back from a broken jaw injury, caught the ball, so Bradford at least had it, because that could have easily gone back to his Sheffield partners.
Well, we see a bit of a loose ball there from, back to one. The referee's giving it back to one, so Ilias McCartney will make a break. Eventually, Ilias McCartney being penned in there by Menzi Yeri and Gary Lowe on this stand side. But Bradford were lucky there. Liam Kirk will take the ball. He will drive then and try to get his team forward. Now sitting 35 metres shy of the Sheffield Eagles try line. Bradford move the ball across the park. Then Corey Aston, Joe Keys to Ethan Ryan. Ethan Ryan to Lee Smith. Lee Smith will brush away the tackle and go down the fast open stand terrace side. He will feed the ball to Amari Caro. Amari Caro is then wrapped up, and Bradford will play the ball now and play the ball on this one, on the fourth tackle, and that eventually sees John Magrin tackled and brought down. John Magrin gets up and plays the ball. The ball then goes through hands to Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen moves the ball back across the park, and eventually the ball finds its way into the hands of James Bentley, and the referee has blown the whistle for a knock-on. So that's the first error of the afternoon, Mark, and this is what we were saying. We get the ball back.
This is the guy we waxed lyrical about, James Bentley. James Bentley is a great talent, but James Bentley has got to learn when not to get involved in the game, when not to try and score on every time he gets the ball and be the hero, when just to slow it down. All you got to do is just touch that ball. He'll learn that at St Helens. They'll have the time to teach him that, because he'll be sat on the bench a few times and the coaches will talk him through everything. Great talent, but sometimes makes mistakes at the wrong time, and that was bang at the wrong time when Bradford were attacking.
Sheffield then will come away from the base of the scrum, and they will look to test the Bradford defence, and we see Sheffield managing to get to their own 30-metre line as they continue here, and again we'll go looking to put it through hands. Matty James is eventually wrapped up by Damien Sirinen and Vila Halafihi, and then we see Sam Alice come flying out of the defensive line, and that was lucky that Evan Hodgson was there to help him out, and Vila Halafihi to bring the Sheffield player down. Otherwise, if he'd have offloaded, we'd have seen Sheffield go through the gap. But as it stands, the Bradford defence still standing strong for Lee Smith then, as Sheffield get to their own 40-metre line and will now look to try and get inside the Bradford Bulls half. They do that on the fourth tackle, and they sit round about 5 metres in from the open terrace side here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium. Sheffield then kick the ball. Ethan Ryan allows that. He's just watching that. He allows that to go dead. So Bradford will restart the play, and that will see the play restart on the 20-metre line, and Ethan Ryan straight away will tap the ball and have a run himself. That sees Sam Hallis then. Sam Hallis feeds John Magrin. John Magrin then gets himself just over the Bradford Bulls 40-metre line, and again Sheffield defending with a little bit of brim and vigour, but Bradford certainly putting them to the test on this one. Amari Caro takes a drive and gets Bradford into the into the Sheffield Eagles half, as then the ball goes around, and we see then a high shot on Evan Hodgson, and that was certainly high, Mark, and I'm glad that the referee was Johnny on the spot on that one, giving Bradford the second penalty of the afternoon.
Yes, that was high, and it was quite a dangerous one as well, because it was really around the back of the neck of Evan Hodgson, and they're the ones that are dangerous. I mean, there's lunges and there's silly tackles, but that was a dangerous one. He was penalised. They kicked the ball some 15 metres, and Bradford attacked the Sheffield line now 15 metres out, and about 20 metres in from this main stand side.
So Evan Hutchinson then takes the first drive. He will take first drive. That will be played by Sam Alice. He'll find Damien Sirren. Damien Sirren goes towards stick. The gap opens up for Sam Alice, and Sam Alice is taken around the head again, and the referee blows up straight away. He was again in the right spot, giving Bradford another penalty. So 2 quick penalties on the bounce for head-eye shots. Bradford quickly pay the ball. Joe Keys goes one way, drops his shoulder, steps back on the inside, and falls just a metre short of the line. The referee will bring Sheffield back to the line, make sure that they're all onside as Bradford continue with this strong attacking play. Damien Sirren drops the shoulder, goes one way, goes another. Unfortunately, Bradford have dropped back a little bit now, around about 10 metres away from the line, which may not be a bad thing. Evan Ocean puts the ball through hands to Vila Alafifi. Vila Alafifi goes one way, creates a gap, spins and turns, and Vila Alafifi, we thought Vila Alafifi was in there, but he's fallen just a metre short. But then we see Sam Hallis try to bury his way in from very close range, but again Sheffield's defence is up to the test. The ball will quickly spread to the far side, and the little kick over the top will see Joe Keys, collected by Amari Caro, and Caro scores for the Bradford Bulls.
Well, it's all fast play, and Sheffield just can't live this so far. That went from right to left, and the kick from Joe Keys was weighted beautifully. It was a lob. A winger at 5'10" wouldn't have got that, but Amari Caro's 6'3", 6'4". It fell into the breadbasket, but he had to be there at the time. He was Johnny on the spot. He caught the ball, Caro, and his sheer size and bulk meant he could burrow over the try line from about 2 metres out. Sheffield couldn't live with him, and just what the doctor ordered. And that's 2 tries from 2 sorties up into the Sheffield area. If you go into the opponent's half and you come away with something, it puts a fear of God up them, and that's what Bradford have done.
A quick mention then to fans that are tweeting us in. Good afternoon, G-Star, as ever, our loyal listener. I think he's the founder member of the Mark Hobson fan club.
Well, I think he's a big Gledmeister fan. I think he's G-Star. I think I'm second on his list.
And also, I must mention,
till Christmas comes, I won't be buying him a present.
I must mention our regular statistician, Kev Field. Thanks for the stats again today, Kev, and I hope you're enjoying this one wherever you are. Also, a quick hello to my good lady, Mrs. Dan, I don't know who's at home doing the washing obo. So,
well done for that, because that's hard graft, is that. I'm an ironing man myself. But the conversion there, you would hear the cheers, because everything's going right for the Bradford Bulls. A fantastic touchline conversion from Corey Aston against his former side, against the side his dad coaches. That now makes it the Sheffield Eagles 0. Bradford Bulls 12, and I'm touching wood here because we had this last week, didn't we? And we've had it in previous games where we've taken a great lead. Let's hope we can keep it going.
Yeah, we saw it last week, as Obo said. For the first 20 minutes, Bradford were certainly in the ascendancy. We've had 14 minutes played on the Provident clock then, as we see Vila Alafifi gets the ball and manages to get Bradford up to his own 20-metre line, and then the ball will go to Liam Kirk. Liam Kirk will take a little drive, a little step, but again he's eventually wrapped up by the Sheffield defenders. So Sam Alice, John Magrin. John Magrin goes one way, drops his shoulder, will twist and turn in the tackle. He'll get Bradford up towards their own 40-metre line now, as we see Bradford still moving the ball towards the other open terrace side, and James Bentley is eventually wrapped up. Now the referee is going to give Bradford a penalty here, because it's saying that again there was a little bit of an infringement from Sheffield there at the in the tackle, so that will be a relieving penalty for Bradford, and it's Bradford now will look for the field position. So we wait for the ball to find its way to Joe Keys' hands. Joe Keys kicks. That will see Bradford get down towards the Sheffield Eagles 30-metre line, and play will resume to about 15 metres in. Lee Smith then taps the ball. James Bentley will then feed the ball to Damien Sirren. Damien Sirren is eventually pinned to the floor, and Damien Sirren is again, the referee gives another penalty. Now he's going to stop the clock here, and he's going to speak to the Sheffield captain, and I think
I'd go for 2 points here. Pete, I interrupted you, I do apologise. I would go for 2 points, because that makes it 14. We're going to get the ball back, and I think they can then set and go again. But I don't think Bradford will. They've got confidence in their in the veins. I think they're going to run it, but I would go for 2 without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Well, I would tend to agree with Mark, but as we see, Bradford will run it then. They'll get the play back underway. Liam Kirk will go towards the stick, taking a drive there. Liam Kirk now sits around about 15 metres away, but he's eventually pushed back. So Bradford lose a little bit of momentum, but quickly put the ball through hands. The ball then finds its way to Corey Aston. Corey Aston is then eventually wrapped up and brought down. Sorry, Ethan Hodgson is wrapped up and put down. But then Sam Alice plays the ball. Sam Alice, and we see a mistake from Bradford. This will see Sheffield race away now, as we see Gary Lowe raced down the park, and again James Bentley in the tackle, but the Sheffield players are appealing for a penalty, and they get the penalty. The referee not happy with the afters in the tackle, and Bradford, for all the power and all the dominance that they just had, Mark, we've said before. We
did in our pre-match ambulance. This is what Jeff Toovey says: try, and then mistake, penalty, back down on the other end of the pitch. You've got to stop that. But the reason why the Bradford Bulls are in the lead, they've controlled the game, and up to the present moment, they've made very few mistakes.
So Scott Wheeldon then will take the ball for Sheffield. He manages to get Oh, we see then an error from Matty Fozzard. You know, usually Matty Fozzard is as safe as houses, but there, Mark, I don't know whether he was watching the player or not, but he's certainly knocked on, which is good for Bradford.
It is good for Bradford, because I think Sheffield were just getting a bit of head of steam there, and they were just over the Bradford 40-metre mark in the centre of the field, and we're going to scrum down now, bang in the centre of the field. 4 metres short the 40-metre mark, 36 metres upfield. Let's hope Bradford can do something sensible with this. Nothing silly, just drive it up, get in a good attacking position, and finish the last tackle off with a good option, probably a kick into the corner.
So Corey Aston then feeds a scrum. Sam Alice will break from the scrum. He will find Lee Smith. Lee Smith will go on an attacking run and take it towards the open terrace side, which sees Bradford sit around about 35 metres away from their own try line. James Bentley is then taken out again with another high shot, and that is a team warning then issued to Sheffield by Tom Grant. He did warn them previously, Mark, that he was going to do that. So it's now what Bradford can do with this. Joe Keys will kick towards the open terrace inside. That will see Bradford manage to get inside the Sheffield Eagles half. The referee stops the clock while we get the ball. Ross Peltier is now on for Bradford, and Bradford will get the game underway on the Sheffield Eagles 30-metre line. Ross Peltier taking the first drive then, and he's wrapped up in the tackle. John Magrin then. John Magrin will go forward, and John Magrin managed to get the Bulls towards the Sheffield Eagles 10 metres line. Now what can Bradford do here? They need to set themselves quickly, still taking it towards a stick. A little bit of a cut-out pass. That falls into the hands of Ethan Ryan. Ethan Ryan goes one way and then drops back, but Bradford losing a little bit of ground there now, about 8 metres away from the Sheffield Eagles try line as the ball goes through hands again, and Ross Peltier will eventually go, but then the referee said that's a knock-on. Why didn't Ross Peltier hold the ball there? On the third tackle.
Well, I'm going to answer that question.
That is poor, Matt, and I'm not bemoaning the team, and we'll get pillared for this. But you'd to see that.
Why? Because he's not a top quality forward. That's why. Because a top quality forward wouldn't have done that. For Ross to become a top quality forward, which he wants to be and he can be, he's going to not do that. That's the sort of thing an amateur forward does. He's got to stole the ball. You're absolutely right. We will get pilloried for it, but you're absolutely right. And that's not rude to Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier knows what he's done wrong there, and Jeff Toovey will tell him. And to become a top quality forwards don't do that, do they? Jeff Gresham wouldn't have done it. You know, Alan Rathbone would have done it. Carl Fairbank would have done it. Everybody allows that mistake. Ross gets a rush of blood. He thinks he's got to score off every drive he takes, and he can't.
So Sheffield then will come away, and they'll look to come down the park here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium as they play towards the main stand. The Dewsbury End stand and conferencing and banqueting offices that they have at this old stadium. Sheffield then on the last tackle will kick. That ball will turn Ethan Ryan round, and Ethan Ryan will just watch that trickle its way into touch just shy of the 10 metres line, and in the Bradford half, and Ethan Ryan picks up the ball and walks slowly back towards the referee then as we wait for the scrum to form. So Sheffield in that set managing to find eventually their way into the Bradford half with the kick.
Well, I think that's going to be a tactic, Pete. I think they think that this Bradford Bulls side will be forced into errors. They'll watch the videos, will Mark Aston. He'll use the kicking game into the corner. If you notice, it's into the corners all the time.
Yeah.
Pushing Bradford, it's harder to come away from your own line when you're in the corner. When you're in the middle, you can run it, punch it left or right off the ruck. It's how your scrum half's going to bring you away. And I think we'll see more of that. Ethan Ryan's done a good job at full-back so far, defending those.
Well, Damien Sirinen then, from the resulting play, will get Bradford up and over the 20 metres. metre line as Corey Aston then ball in hand drops his shoulder and Corey Aston spots the gap. Corey Aston goes through, is eventually wrapped up then on the just over the 30 metre line as Sam Alice feeds Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier bounce off one, then two, and then a third Sheffield tackle comes in over the top to pin Ross Peltier down. And again we see a little bit of a knee in there on Ross Peltier, but the referee says get up and play it. James Bentley goes out towards the open Stirrus side, and again on the fourth tackle Bradford are wrapped up. Mikel Alaleski then on from the subs bench.
That's a good drive.
Mikel Alaleski takes a fantastic drive and gets Bradford over the 30 metre line of the Sheffield Eagles. Keys puts a kick up under pressure. That will bounce and that will go dead, which will see Sheffield get the restart. Hobbo.
Yeah, it's not bad stuff from Bradford. They've got the Sheffield side licked, I think. Early doors, you can see the tactic that you've got to employ against Sheffield. And what the tactic has been from Bradford Bulls is a couple of drives in, good hard drives down the central channel, and then on the third and fourth tackle, run the angles and have a man at the side of you who you can pass the ball to, who can run into a gap. That's making the Sheffield forwards run all over the place. 20 metres either side of the ruck, he's tiring them out.
Well, we see there, Tom Grant award a penalty to Sheffield as Sheffield had the ball, and eventually we see Paddy Flynn is actually, Menzieri has the ball there, stripped out of him in the tackle. That will give Sheffield a bit of an advantage as they kick the ball. The ball finds touch on the Bradford Bulls 40 metre line, and play will start 5 metres in for Sheffield. Sheffield will put the ball through hands as we see Matty Fazzard look to get one of his forwards on the front foot, and that forward is Matt James, the second row forward for Sheffield. And now the referee blows for another penalty to Sheffield as he catches offside. Bradford offside at the play of the ball. So Sheffield playing into Sheffield's hand, Mark. This is what we were saying. This is what we were saying.
That's naivety. That's naivety because you could see that coming. You could see twice the Bradford, the Sheffield dummy half running the Bradford defensive line that wasn't onside. Jeff True will be tearing his hair out because they've now just conceded 60 metres. They've been marched back downfield 60 metres through two silly mistakes.
Sheffield then with Elliot Minchella, who knocks on. So,
well, I think Elliot's a bit lucky there. You may have seen that better than me, Pete, but
I think he's a bit unlucky there, Mark, because I certainly think there were an hand in there from Damien Sirenen.
Yes, I think there was. I think Damien Sirenen knows that.
Yeah.
But I don't begrudge Damien Sirenen anything there because he's quite a wily old cookie, Damien. I'm a big fan of Damien.
Yeah, I am.
I think with a bit more fitness, this guy could play in Super League.
Yeah,
I think he knows how to run that.
Well, that's his goal, Mark. You know, I spoke to him for a week. I've got to know him a bit, you know, and I do like him. I've spent time in his company. He's a real nice lad, and Super League is his aim.
He is. Well, he can do it. I think you know he would make the grade playing around. I think he needs to be a bit fitter.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get his eye in the groove, as it were. But I think he can do it.
So then we see Bradford break from the scrum. Ellis McCanny will get the ball to around about 15 metres away from his try line. He's eventually wrapped up by Gary Lowe and Manzieri as Bradford will stay in the centre of the park with Ross Peltier, and Ross Peltier tries to get some forward momentum, and we now see Mikel Alaleski take another barnstorming run. Mikel Alaleski manages to get his frame and his bulk up towards the halfway line here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium, and Sheffield will put on another shot. And this is getting a bit scrappy. The referee's going to have to do something about this.
Well, he's put on a team warning. It's no good putting him on a team warning, Pete, and doing nothing about it. Because what that means is you're all win. You know, he's got to sort them out.
Yeah. Well, that is the sixth penalty in the opening 23 minutes of this one, Hobbo, that's been awarded to Bradford. And if we look at those penalties, Mark, of that 6, I would say 3 of them are certainly for the head-eye
shots. They have, He's going to keep that down as the referee. Right. He's going to stop that.
Right, Mikel Alaleski then will take a drive and manage to get Bradford in. Sorry, Ian Edson will take a drive. He will then get up and play the ball. The ball will go to Damien Sirenen. Damien Sirenen takes the ball towards the centre of the park, and there's a little bit of afters there. And again, Damien Sirenen proving his reputation as the enforcer. Ethan Ryan will go, and Ethan Ryan is taken again from a high shot as the referee says no, it was on the shoulder. But what can Bradford do here? James Bentley, over on the open terrace side, will try to inch towards the Sheffield Eagles try line. Try Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier straightens up then and goes towards a stick on the 5th and last. What can Bradford do here? They've certainly got to look for something. That look will go to Joe Keys. Joe Keys will put a little kick over the top. Amari Caro goes up and catches it. And then...
I thought he was going to be able to touch it down, Amari.
Yeah. Well, the referee says, no, you're offside, and gives the penalty to Sheffield.
That was borderline. That was a good kick from Jockey, and Amari Carroll plucked that out, and he's tall enough, and that's a well-worked move on that. He did come off this time. I thought he was lucky to be offside there, but we are about 80 metres away. But that's the sort of tactic that Bradford need to use to get round the back of the Sheffield defence.
Damien Siren then comes on with a big hit. He manages to pin Dwayne Straughter down to the floor as Sheffield now will move the ball over to the no open turret side. They'll then bring the ball back on through the park, and Sheffield come up with a knock on, and one of the Sheffield players, the actual fullback Jack Owens, throws the ball and just narrowly misses the referee. So he's stopped the clock. He's now pulling the Sheffield captain towards him again. I think
he's got a chance to sort Sheffield out here, and I hope he does it, because again, Sheffield are no different to Dewsbury or Rochdale or Batley or Bradford or Swinton or whoever you want to say. If the referee's a bit weak, they will take advantage of it, because that's what rugby league's all about, and they will. And I think he has an opportunity here to. That's dissent, and I might have been with 10 minutes in the bin for that.
I'll quickly give you some scores as I've got them from other games. Crusaders 6, Coventry 10 in the Super League or the fight for Super League. Featherstone Rovers 6, OKR 6, Halifax 0, Catalan Dragons 0, and Leigh Centurions 0, Widnes Vikings 8. Bradford then have the ball, and Bradford will attack the Sheffield line again as play continues here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium, and we see there Sam Alice wrapped up on the tackle, but Damien Sirenen gets the ball, and Damien Sirenen manages to drop one way, burst the tackle, and this will keep Bradford on the forward momentum. He's eventually wrapped up. Joe Keys then will go towards the open terrace side and eventually finds Lee Smith. Lee Smith will pick the ball up, and again the ball comes out, and the referee is going to blow there and say that is a knock on and give the possession to Sheffield. Lee Smith there, nobody on him, Mark, nobody whatsoever. Those are coach killers, Mark.
Well, they are coach. You've got an ex-England international, there's nobody on him, and he drops the ball. Come on, you've got to do better than that. You've got to be thinking about it. That's not on. Anybody's allowed a bad day at the office. But an ex-England international who played at the highest level in Super League, just to lose a ball, that's a sloppy thing that you would see on a Saturday afternoon in your local park in Pennine League Division 6. And you can forgive people for that. That's not on.
A couple of quick scores then from the Championship Shield. Batley 10, Dewsbury 0, Oldham 8, Toulouse 4, Rochdale 2, Swinton 2, and here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium on the Providence scoreboard it currently stands Sheffield Eagles 0, Bradford Bulls 12. We have a break in play here. So in League 1 we've got Barrow 16, Workington 0, Newcastle 12, Keighley 0, and York City Knights 10, Doncaster 6. And another result I've got, or another game that's in play, is Gloucester 0, Oxford 6. Hobbo.
Well, Bradford, I would have gone at the last penalty probably 4 or 5 minutes ago. Now I would have gone for 2 points, but they didn't, and it's still 12-0 to the Bulls, and they're playing okay. But the odd error just letting Sheffield back in it. I think this game could be well and truly in total control of the Bradford Bulls if they can just make the thinking game that little bit better.
Well, Sheffield are moving the ball through hands and still managing to come down the park on the first tackle of this set from the scrum. Eventually brought down just shy of the just shy of the halfway line. And again, another good collision comes in from Ross Peltier and Ethan Hodgson, and Ethan Hodgson is putting himself about Mark, and he's certainly putting his stamp on the game as Sheffield managing to move the ball through hands. We see Paddy Flynn getting through a little bit of work and wanting to get Sheffield on the front foot, as Sheffield now sit just on the 20-metre line and managing to keep the ball alive in a bit of a scrappy affair, but eventually he's wrapped up by James Bentley, and Lee Smith is the Sheffield attacker. Paddy Flynn, but then the kick comes up on the 5th and last. That's a knocked ball and an error from Menzieri that will see, from Gary Lowe, that will see Bradford get the put-in at the scrum, and in fact no, the referee's not. The referee then just hands possession over to Bradford because it was a 6th and last tackle, and Bradford now will get going forward again as we see Damien Surnan has come off the park mark and he's walking towards the changing room. So I'm hoping that that's nothing serious and nothing more to do with the injury that he picked up or the knock that he took last week. But play continues here. James Bentley then manages to get Bradford up towards the 40-metre line, and Bradford will go on a little skirting run through the likes of Sam Hallis. Sam Hallis there manages to get Bradford to the halfway line on the 3rd tackle, and we see Bradford now moving the ball through hands as Brandon Wilkinson is now on for the Bradford Bulls. And again, so the coach Tuvey is going with a bit of youth. A bit of a high kick there on the 5th and last tackle. That eventually finds its way to Gary Lowe, and Gary Lowe will come back down the park and is eventually wrapped up by Ilias Makani and Vila Halafihi. Then we'll see Menzieri take a drive. He runs into Ethan Hodgson and Ilias Makani, but Sheffield again attacking this main stand side, and we see that Matt James is proving a bit of an handful to put down, but eventually the referee gives a penalty to Sheffield for Bradford being offside.
Ross Peltier. Well, the reason why Ross Peltier is offside, he's walking back at the line. I think he needs a stone off to Ross Peltier, and I just don't think he's quick enough for his retreat around the ruck area. Yeah. And I'm not on the Ross Peltier. I like Ross Peltier. I think he's a great sportsman and a fantastic Bradford guy, but he just needs a little bit of weight off, in my opinion.
Sheffield then. Sorry, Albo for cutting short, but Sheffield will start the play deep inside the Bradford half. They'll manage to get over the Bradford Bulls 10-metre line as they sit down around 8 metres away from the Bradford Bulls try line in search of their first score of the afternoon. The ball will go through hands, and that looks slightly forward, but Sheffield managing to have it through Pirry Whiteley, and Pirry Whiteley is eventually brought down 2 metres shy of the line, but Bradford again in defence, managing
Sheffield
to stand up.
Pete.
Yeah, managing to stand up to the Sheffield tackles, but as Sheffield go wide, but they will then bring the ball back through hands, and that will go to Mark Mexico's now on the park. Mark Mexico just stands off Evan Hodgson, as we see now Sheffield trying to offload in the tackle, and the ball comes loose, and that's picked up by Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier bounces off Mark Mexico there and pushes him out of the way, and there's a little bit of afters in the tackle, but Ross Peltier gets up and plays the ball. Sheffield surely offside there, but the referee says no, play on, as Matty James wraps up Vila Halafihi.
Well, we need some big wingers in to help the forwards out now, because Bradford have been under the cosh for the last sort of 4 or 5 minutes, and that comes in the shape of
Ilias Makani
getting a good 15 metres there.
Yeah, certainly took the pressure off as Corey Aston kicks on the 5th and last. That will split full-back and winger and cause them both to turn round as they go towards the Sheffield 10-metre line. Bradford's defence then manages to race up the park, but Sheffield break free and eventually are brought down on the 30-metre line and get another penalty, which again we spoke about, that Bradford go and they concede a penalty that will be a relieving penalty and piggyback Sheffield down the park as Sheffield kick that one into touch, and they will restart on the Bradford Bulls 40-metre line. Hobbo, you're shaking your head there.
Well, I am, because some of the Bradford Bulls players have got to think now. This is the time when you've got to think. Sheffield are coming back into it. You think the Bradford Bulls defence may crack because they're having set after set after set through errors from Bradford. This is the time when your mentality's right. You've got to be mentally tough. You're in front, but you've got to just put your foot on the neck of Sheffield and just squeeze a little bit and say you're not going to score.
So we now see Sam Scott then take the drive, and Sam Scott will manage to encroach just inside the Bradford Bulls 20 metres, and eventually manages to get around about 15 metres shy through crawling on all fours there. But Sheffield will still look and still put us in a bit of a threat here to Bradford on this as the ball goes to Mark Mexico. Mark Mexico will put that through hands, and that will see Sheffield score. And again, I think it's been coming, Mark.
Oh, it has been coming. That try's been coming for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They've had to defend so many back-to-back sets. And isn't it amazing when Surnan goes off, and it can't be just about Surnan, it isn't just about Surnan, the physicality tends to go. I think we've got Ross Peltier not fit enough, and he's running out of the line, he's getting caught in no man's land. So I don't think that we're going to do something about that. And, we're going to defend that a little bit better and control the football. And we should have gone for the 2 points when the penalty was up there. That would have been 14-0. Now it would be 14-4 because Sheffield scored there. Sheffield Eagles 4, Bradford Bulls 12.
Well, Elliot Minchella then benefiting from the hard work that Mark Mexico did when he certainly brushed one or two Bradford defenders out of the way and managed to then send a little gap, which, as Mark says, Bradford a little bit slow in defence to cover the gap, and we're certainly not being critical, but it has been coming the way that Sheffield have certainly dominated the last period of play, certainly in the last 10-15 minutes that Sheffield have been in the ascendancy and eventually do manage to cross. So Elliot Minchella with a try, and then we see the goal and we see the try is converted. So that now means the score on the Providence scoreboard reads Sheffield Eagles 6, the Bradford Bulls 12.
Well, that came from the possession's been given to Sheffield on a play. The Bradford Bulls are in control of the game, and the last tackle option's been pretty good, but just recently they're just not concentrating, they're dropping off tackles, but more than that, they're handing the ball or dropping the ball over at the wrong time. Lee Smith, the knock on when there was nobody there, giving position back to Sheffield. It's you're putting your opponents in the pound seats and giving them 50 and 60 metres every time you make a mistake.
So Lee Smith then will kick that one deep. That will find its way into the hands of Jack Owens. Jack Owens will then feed the ball to Gary Lowe, and Gary Lowe will again come down this main stand side with a quick play of the ball to Menzieri. Menzieri gets up, and Menzieri then manages to find his way to the Sheffield Eagles 40-metre line, as again Sheffield stay on this main stand terrace side, getting the ball away again in the tackle as the ball finds its hands into Menzieri again. And now we see the fact that Mark Mexico is holding on in the tackle to Brandon Wilkinson and Sam Alice, and the referee gives a team warning to Bradford now for being offside again, and that gives another penalty to Sheffield, their 7th in the opening half of this game. As we see Simon Brown, who converted the try earlier, will kick for touch. This will see now Sheffield restart then, and a little gap there through the gap, sees Matty Fozzard race away and touch down again from a quick play of the ball. The gap just opened up, there was no defence there, Bradford weren't even looking, Mark, there was nobody near him, and that to me was a
joke of a try. When you learn to defend, and that's a try to Sheffield, to Matty Fozzard, who touched down about 2 metres in from this main stand side. They got the penalty, they kicked in the touch, they gained some 20 metres, they tapped it, Bradford stood there and looked at him, Bradford stood there and looked at him, and Matty Fozzard just run into the corner and touched the ball down. Absolutely unbelievable there from Bradford, and from being in the ascendancy, all of a sudden now, the Bradford Bulls are on the back foot. They're having to think about what they're doing, but they're not doing it. The brain isn't working, and Jeff Toovey must absolutely be ripping his head out. 10 points to 12 with a conversion to come, and Sheffield are right back in it, just giving them too much meterage, and the defence around the ruck area non-existent.
Well, we wait for Simon Brown to take the kick here. That will either bring Sheffield level, or the score will remain at as it is now at 10 points to 12 in the favour of Bradford Bulls. But I'm just hoping that we're not going to see, the capitulation that we saw last week against Batley, and that certainly, Toovey marshals his troops and sends the orders on that, this now they need to certainly pick up the ante. Simon Brown strikes that one then, and it's more like a swing from one of my golf clubs, Mark. He spliced that, mate, and I think that's off to Offset.
Yeah, I can't play golf, but there you go. He was on the way to Offset, I'm sure it was. And that's a let-off, isn't it, for the Bradford Bulls, Pete? All joking apart, because with 4 minutes to go to half-time, and of course the programme brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away. Pete Dutton and Mark Hobson for BCB 106.6 FM. Bradford are going to have 5 minutes of attrition now. They're going to get stuck back in because the confidence from Sheffield now is literally oozing out of their pores. They think, right, we've stood the best of what you've given us, and it's quite easy now because you're not defending well.
Sheffield return the kick then through George Milton, and George Milton manages to find his way to the 20-metre line, putting the ball through hands as Sheffield come again towards his main stand side with the ball, eventually finding its hands to Menzieri. Menzieri then a little bit of a miss-up, but it says that Bradford Bulls, and Joe Keys. Now, what's the referee going to do here? He's going to bring the play back. Now, that that is absolutely thing. He's going to go back for the knock-on, Mark, and he's going to give possession to Sheffield.
Well,
However, Mark, let's just explain that for the listeners who can't actually see what's going on. You'll see it on the highlights, though. What happened there, we saw Menzieri with the ball. Eventually the ball came free. He said a Bradford player had struck the ball, so he wiped the tackle count back to 1. So therefore, that's like a continuation, restart the set. We then saw Sheffield put the ball through hands, and eventually we saw Joe Keys to make an intercept. But then the referee brings the player back and says, no, I'm not happy with that. We'll go back to the first knock-on.
I'm baffled by that, quite frankly. Totally baffled by that. I can't explain it, Pete, quite frankly, so I won't do. But what I do know is that Sheffield have got possession on about the 40-metre mark of their own half. And I've got to say, running with some vigour now. Sheffield running like they've not run at all in this game. And they think they're back in it. And they certainly are.
Well, we've seen Matty James certainly making a game of it, and Dane Straughter. And now Sheffield break the line again, and the ball will find, and again, now that is an error in a key stage, and we see Gary Lowe absolutely disgusted with himself. He actually throws the ball to out of the field of play, and again, the referee's just stopping the clock and calming everything down, but the line was certainly breached there, Robbo, with way too much ease.
Far too much ease.
You know, Simon Brown just stepped into that gap and he went away.
The Bradford defence is like paper, and it's a matter of time before Sheffield score again, unless Bradford can re-show their resources. But I saw Bradford stood behind the sticks at the last try that Sheffield scored. I didn't see anybody shouting at the team, rallying the troops, and that worries me a little bit. Bradford are still in it. They can win this game. Sheffield are beatable. They're not the best team in the world, aren't Sheffield? But what I do know is the Bradford Bulls have just gone to sleep that little bit. And Sheffield with no doctor, the Bradford Bulls doctor runs across. And let's hope that...
Mark Mexico there.
Mark Mexico, yeah.
I think he's going to be out from the field of play, Mark, because, you know, he's certainly... Oh, is he... yeah, the physio is just... And the club doctor have just got their arm around him, and... they're certainly ushering him off the park here.
Well, I think that's a dislocation of some kind. It's the Bradford doctor that's helping him off.
Yeah.
And taking him straight down the tunnel. So the doctor's obviously spotted something there. The referee's holding play, but he's not going to walk.
Yeah, well, he's got his arm mark wrapped in his shirt, which usually means it's either a dislocation of the shoulder or a dislocation of the elbow.
Correct. Yes.
But he's certainly.
He won't be returned. I wouldn't have thought with you.
No.
But he's looked dangerous, hasn't he? Mark Mexico? As he always does. He's been a great player.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that Mark Mexico came on and it coincided with the with Damien Sirenen going off.
It did.
And then Sheffield seemed to get that momentum. Yeah. So Bradford then will put the ball in the scrum. The ball goes through hands and eventually finds its way to Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier offloads in a little bit of a short ball to James Bentley. He's wrapped up just shy of his own 20-metre line. And now Bradford will go to try and move the ball further down the peak. Ross Peltier is eventually wrapped up around about 15 metres in from the open terrace side on the far side of this famous Wakefield ground. And Sheffield, again, a bit of an infringement at the play of the ball, but we see eventually Bradford through. Mikel Alaleski manages to get Bradford just shy of the halfway line, and Mikel Alaleski certainly making his presence felt in this one. Corey Aston feeds Villa Halafihi. Villa Halafihi goes one way and is eventually wrapped up by 3 Sheffield tackles on the 5th and last, as Bradford just managed to get to the halfway line. Then what will they do here? Corey Aston will kick. That will be a bit of a bouncer, strikes a Sheffield winger, and that then should be a knock-on, which Jack Owens, the fullback of Sheffield, comes up with an error, and that should be work quite happily in Bradford's favour.
Well, what a fantastic kick from Mark Aston, bouncing on this very, very firm pitch. Of course, we're not yet into autumn, we are coming towards the end of summer, so the pitch is very firm, from about 40 metres out, down to this right-hand side. It bounced beautifully. Jack Owens got himself there. It looked to me like it had gone backwards from here, but obviously it hadn't, it had gone forwards. So Bradford will have the scrum with 1 minute 42 seconds to go on the clock. 25 metres in from this main stand side, and about 10 metres away from the Wakefield line. Be nice for Bradford to score from this, wouldn't it?
Corey Aston feeds the scrum. The ball eventually finds its way from scrum to Joe Keys. Joe Keys goes one way, but unfortunately falls just around about 2 metres short. What can Bradford do here as they remain then? Ross Peltier spins one way, then goes back the other, as Bradford will look to put up some score here before the half-time hoodie goes. Brandon Wilkinson then is eventually wrapped up. The ball's still live though, as now James Bentley drops his shoulder, goes one way and goes another, and he manages to get Bradford inches shy of the Sheffield try line. What can Bradford do here? They'll now look to switch the ball to the long play and bring it back towards this main stand side. Ross Peltier comes on with a bit of purse and then stops, and then is pushed back, and Bradford actually losing ground there on the drive of Ross Peltier, but Bradford retain possession, and the ball is still live. Joe Keys goes one way. Joe Keys will feed the ball out to Amari Caro, and Amari Caro will score.
It is a try for Bradford. It's a fabulous try. We all paused there. We held
our breath there.
Because the referee took what seemed to be the 30. It wasn't, but it's a good angle run from Joe Keys. He drew the Sheffield defence onto the left-hand side, which took the attention away from Caro. He lobbed the ball beautifully to Caro's breadbasket. Caro's big enough and strong enough. He touched the ball down. Fabulous try. The referee wasn't sure, but he did give it eventually. Seemed like an eternity. Good try. Just what the doctor ordered just before half-time.
Well, Amari Caro then, that's his second of the afternoon as a hooter goes. That was scored right on the 40-minute mark of this one, and we now just await for Corey Aston. Now this will be an harder kick for Corey Aston because it was scored over on the far open terrace side, but he has kicked one from there early on. I think Amari Caro scored his first try over on that side.
It's almost identical. Amari Caro's had a good game today. His finishing's been superb. I've criticised him, but one thing is he's a big unit, and if you can use him effectively, he can score and he can finish. You won't stop him from 2 or 3 metres out.
No.
And it's now the Bradford Bulls leading, because it's the Sheffield Eagles 10, the Bulls 16, with a conversion to come right on the touchline side from Corey Aston, of course, the former Sheffield player.
Well, Corey Aston then composes himself, strikes that one, will send that one, and unfortunately I thought that one was going to go in, but he sends that one just slightly wide. So Bradford Bulls then lead here at the Beaumont Legal. For Sheffield then through Simon Brown to get this one underway, and he will kick. That will find its way, and the ball will bounce, but it'll go behind Ilias McCanny. Ilias McCanny will turn around and eventually pick that one up, but he'll manage to race his way back towards the Bradford Bulls 10-metre line, as we see Bradford now with the ball in hand coming to the centre of the park, and Bradford will look for any opening they can in this Sheffield defence. That was a strong tackle, a strong carry there from Mikkel Aleski, but now the ball comes centre part, and Ross Peltier goes one way and eventually is wrapped up by 3 Sheffield tacklers, but manages to get Bradford about another 5 yards away, as Lee Smith now with the ball in hand. Lee Smith will certainly come down this main stand side, and he's looking to push off the Sheffield tacklers. So Sam Hallis will hit Joe Keys. Joe Keys will find Damien Sirinen, and Damien Sirinen is eventually wrapped up by 3 Sheffield tacklers there. Scott Wielden in over the top, and now the referee says that Damien Sirinen has knocked on. Well, I can't see how he's knocked on there, Hobbo, when he'd actually played the ball.
Well, I find that incredible. I didn't see anything wrong there from Damien Sirinen. Mikkel Aleski's head goes down there. This is the problem with Bradford Bulls. You can see them visibly shaken when the referee comes up with a wrong decision against them. You've got to get it out of your head and forget it. It's frustrating, it's horrible, but you just rest for that 2 or 3 seconds to think about that. That's when the opposition can punish you. On this occasion, it's a scrum down, so you've got time to get out of your system and think. But what I would like to see the referee do is put Sheffield onside, because they're offside by 2 metres, the edges, at every play of the ball.
Well, Sheffield will go now to the open terrace side, and I think that the Sheffield game plan, certainly from Mark Aston, from what we see, Mark, is he must feel that the side that he's got Gary Lowe Menzieri playing on
is a stronger one.
Yeah, is a stronger one against Ilias McCartney and Vila Alafihi. But so far they've been up to the test. So we see Damien Sirinen then come in and put in a huge hit there that will certainly rattle the bones of the Sheffield attacker. But Sheffield still with the ball in hand on Elliot Minchella, will go one way. Elliot Minchella will then find his way and push the ball across to the open terrace side, and again the ball will go to the hands of Menzieri. Menzieri then is eventually wrapped up by Ilias McCartney, and he's helped out by Vila Halafifi, and that should have been he didn't really play the ball, but Sheffield with a little chip kick across. This will see Sheffield score, and Sheffield open the scoring in this half through Ben Blackmore, and Bradford caught napping as Sheffield spread the play there, and that was intelligent play from Simon Brown. He spotted the gap mark. He saw that the winger had acres of space because Bradford had all shifted to, if you like, away from the...
Well, they played the compact defence and had shifted up, and there was a winger in about 20 metres, and Simon Brown saw that. Beautifully weighted lob into the hands of the Sheffield winger. Easiest try they'll ever score, and yet Bradford masters of their own downfall once again. Mistake, ball back to Sheffield. Sheffield score. Jeff Tuvey, what's he going to do? Well, who knows what he's going to do, but he's going to do something, because the Bradford Bulls continue just to let the opponents back in on mistake after mistake after mistake. Compact defence, nobody watching, and I think it's in the heads, it's mental. They didn't agree with that decision from the referee against Sirenen, and I think it takes them that 10-15 seconds to get it out of the system. Forget it, it's gone. I've never seen the referee change his mind. Get back on your defensive line, and you know, you take your frustrations out of the referee making the wrong decision, you knock the hell out of your opponents.
Yeah, you've got to take it back to him, and you've got to say, right, hang on a minute, we've let you in there. Yeah. That was soft of us. But I tell you something, if you want something else, you're going to have to graft for it.
Correct, exactly right. And I think Bradford of today don't do that. Luckily, Sheffield missing the conversion there, Brown from his right-hand side. So, well, this is going to go out to the wire. I thought Bradford could win this, and I still think they can. But 14 points to 16 in favour of the Bulls.
So Bradford then are going to have to dig deep, as Lee Smith will get this one back underway for us. But we certainly need them to come up, and certainly a good defensive set of 6 here should see Bradford regather a bit of the ascendancy that they've had so far in this game. But the ball goes deep, and that is collected by Remy Magnet, and then Remy Raganet will play the ball as sorry if I don't pronounce his name right. It's I was caught my eye on something else there, and I was thinking about margarine. Anyway, I forget about that.
Margarine, I think.
Yeah, margarine. That's it.
Somebody will tell me I'm wrong.
That's it. Well, Sam Alice then goes in, and Sam Alice is saying to the referee, you know, come on, he's never played that right, and Bradford up in the ante in the tackling stakes, and it's getting a bit scrappy around the ruck area. But Sheffield on the 5th and last then will find Sam Brown. Sam Brown will kick the ball. He will turn Ethan Ryan round. Ethan Ryan will let that go one way, but eventually picks it up. He's supported by Amari Caro, and eventually Ethan Ryan is wrapped up under some heavy tackling there from Paddy Flynn and Ben Blackmore. So Amari Caro, what can he do with his big frame? Amari Caro then managed to inch his way towards a 20-metre line, but Bradford needs something here to certainly try and burst the Sheffield defence, as John Magrin then does in fact do that. And now, what can Bradford do here? Sorry, Ross Peltier there was the player with the ball. Although he was stood next to John Magrin, so excuse me for the identity mistake. Anyway, we see Damien Sirenen now with the ball, and Damien Sirenen will come down the pitch, and he will go looking as Sam Alice then eventually feeds the ball to... Well, we saw there, Matt, a little kick over the top, and I thought Elias McCartney, if he'd have chased after that, and rather than just letting it trickle, if he'd have actually put a foot there, Matt, and knocked it back in field, then that would have been a foot race. Because I'm telling you now, Sheffield were not at home, and it only took that little bit of a knack there, Matt.
It's a big wide pitch here at Wakefield, and I think you just don't know, do you? And Sheffield might have had to boot the ball back over the line. If sputs and maybes now, it's gone, and that's the little bit of disappointing play that you see from the Bradford Bulls play from time to time. And if it disappoints us, it must disappoint Jeff Tuvey. Yeah.
Scrum field to Sheffield then, and Sheffield will eventually come away with Matty Fozzard. Matty Fozzard is tackled just shy of the, just over the halfway line now, and Sheffield still have the ball, but the referee is happy to let play continue here as Evan Hodgson then gets involved in tackle on the open terrace side on the far side away from this main stand. But Sheffield will go hunting again. They've obviously targeted that side, and we see Gary Lowe. Then Gary Lowe races fully 30 metres to touchdown on the side that Sheffield have identified as a weak side for Bradford. And Gary Lowe, that all so easy. Bradford's defence non-existent.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ethan Ryan's not a fullback. He might be a great potential, and I'll tell you what, I think he bottled that. He didn't. He come flying down there like a Well,
a freight train, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it as a rugby league player, and if you stand back and he's got hurt because of it, you've got to go and get him around the legs and knock him into touch. You could push him into touch because he ran down the tram line.
Yeah.
I think the ascent is swinging back to Sheffield. I think now Sheffield have got this game by the scruff of the neck. I think they feel confident, and I see nothing of any physicality from the Bradford Bulls to tell me any different. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, what we're interested in there, Robbo, is the fact that we've seen Sheffield now twice, and it's been an interesting play of what they've actually done. They've actually brought the ball one way, and then they've come to like the main stand terrace side, and then very easily spread their play and moved it back across. However, as we said, Matt, in the opening stages of the second half here, it would seem that the game plan is that Sheffield are going to attack the side where Vila Alafife and Ilis Makani are, and again it seems that is the plan against Menzieri, the big bulky frame. I mean, Menzieri is like playing a forward or a second rower.
Very difficult to stop it. Look how they ran to that ball there, Sheffield.
And Gary Lowe's exactly the same build, isn't he? You know, they are big units.
Well, their legs are like tree trunks, and they'll just run at you. If you've got any flinch in your defence, you have got no chance. You have got absolutely no chance. And Sheffield lead for the first time in the game. It's Sheffield Eagles 18, the Bradford Bulls 16. And look at the body language of the Bradford Bulls players. They don't like they want this. This is the time when you need a Fairbank or an Hill or a Hobbs or a Noble, or a Rathbone who can just stiffen the pack up and just run it in.
Well, old Basil wouldn't have, what I mean?
For that. You've had no chance. Menzieri would have been in the touch, on his back or on a stretcher somewhere.
Yeah, and he'd been on his way to the Wakefield General Infirmary. Yeah. Anyway, Sheffield then will get the play back underway, and Sheffield will come away from their own line as we see, Scott Wheeldon wrapped up eventually by Damien Sirenan. Sheffield then on the second tackle, they managed to get their way towards their own 30-metre line as now the referee gives a penalty to Bradford. It was a penalty to Bradford as Ben Blackmore is accused there and pointed out for not playing the ball. So, scandalous schoolboy error from Sheffield that will give possession back to Bradford. Bradford decide to tap it, and that will see John Magren take the first drive of this set of six. John Magren then goes centre field and managed to get Bradford just shy of the 20-metre line as Ross Peltier will use his frame now, and Ross Peltier galloping forward managed to get Bradford another 10 metres down the park. Quick play of the ball will go through hands. Corey Aston finds Vila Alafife. Vila Alafife goes one way, then cuts back on the inside and is eventually brought down 5 metres shy of the Sheffield try line. What can Bradford do here? Corey Aston comes across the park looking for runners, eventually finds Joe Keys. Joe Keys goes one way, but Bradford lose ground there as he's eventually brought down, and Bradford now sit 12 metres shy of the Sheffield try line. Brandon Wilkinson will go towards the sticks on the fifth and last tackle. And what can Bradford do here? They're going to have to come up with something inventive. Corey Aston puts the ball along the ground. The ball will go to Gary Lowe's hands, and Gary Lowe sprints away, but is eventually brought down, and Bradford come up with the ball. So that'll be back to one. Ilis Makani in there as Gary Lowe looked to offload in the tackle. What can Bradford do here? Vila Alafife, then Vila Alafife will go towards the sticks. Sheffield not getting back to the
that's allowed the Sheffield defence to regroup on this left-hand side.
Yeah, as Bradford go through then, and John Magrin will go towards the stick. He'll be held up. I think, Matt, is he held up over the line, or is he held up just shy of the line?
Just shy of the line, I think.
Just shy of the line. So, on the second tackle then, Bradford still have the ball. The ball will come through Joe Keys. Joe Keys to Lee Smith. Lee Smith to Amari Caro. And Macaro drops the ball, and that will be a knock-on, and that will see all the hard work done by Bradford just wrapped up and gift wrapped and given to Sheffield and say, here, we don't want it.
Well, why, when you're 6'4" and 18 stones, why do you stop and try and check your footwork, Pete, and try and cut back inside? You're big enough and strong enough to take the defence on, but you can't stop, recheck and try and go again and hope they're going to drop off. That's too simple. It's not clever enough. It's not good enough. Now, I'm not saying he burst his way through, but he might have had a chance. Instead, They caught him and they wrapped the ball, and it's another error.
Well, I'll tell you what, Obo, I'm not blessed with height, but I tell you what, I would have loved to have been playing and have his size and frame.
Wow.
You know, I used to run at forwards like him, you know, and I think, my God, and I'd see forwards like that running towards me, and I'd think, right, he's either going to steal me, or, you know, if I don't give him one here, you know what I mean? But that, Mark, I'm sorry, but that's
not acceptable.
No,
it's poor play.
No. Bradford managed to get the ball back then from Sheffield's error, although Sheffield put the ball in at the scrum. But Bradford have got it back as the ball's come loose, and that will see Evan Hodgson then. Evan Hodgson is eventually held down, and now Bradford get a penalty for the infringement and Sheffield not clearing the ruck. So Bradford will need to decide what they're going to do. And again, the tap it. I don't know why they tap it, Mark, and not go for the extra 10. I'll certainly kick towards touch, Mark, to find touch, but that's another question that maybe we can ask Tuve. But Ross Peltier then, from the tap, manages to get Bradford forward, and Bradford now with Sam Hallis will manage to get round about 8 metres shy of the Sheffield try line. The ball will go towards the open terrace side, and that will see Corey Aston eventually wrapped up. Bradford then on the third tackle will see what they can do. A bit slow to get the play of the ball back underway as Brandon Wilkinson now goes forward, and Brandon Wilkinson will look to try and find a gap. But eventually, no, the referee's watching the ruck area with interest there. Joe Keys then. Joe Keys is going one way, he's then going the other, but now he's going to find Vili Alafifi. Vili Alafifi will create the gap for Elias McCartney. Fantastic play, brilliant Bradford attacking play there, made by Joe Keys, and Joe Keys was lucky there, and absolutely fantastic rugby league. That's one of the best tries I've seen this season, Matt.
Yeah, that was great play on the far right hand side, and that's the sort of play earlier that we said would beat Sheffield, not trying to go toe-to-toe in the central channel. You know, the pattern has been set that Sheffield move off the line very quickly. They're not the fastest side in the world round either side of the middle channel, and you can attack them there, and that's what they did. Joe Keys weaved his way across. He found a gap, he saw the gap, he slightly straightened up, he passed the beautiful pass out, which went straight to the breadbasket of the support player, and that was which was Vili Alafifi, and then he passed it out beautifully to the winger, who managed to nip round the back and touch the ball down a little bit nearer. When I say a little bit, it is a little bit as well, making the kick that little bit easier for Corey Aston. But it's now the Eagles 18, the Bulls 20, and the try scorer there was the winger for Bradford, wasn't it?
Elias McCartney.
Yeah,
Elias McCartney. I mean, I've got to go back, Mark, to what we said.
He's not had a bad game today, McCartney.
You know, and Joe Keys, I think so far, Mark, on what I've seen so far, is this has got to be one of his best games that I've seen him having a Bradford shirt.
He's attacked the Sheffield line. He's looked at where Sheffield have moved off the line. He's looked at the gaps between the second row and the prop and the defenders there. He's seen that they're moving out very slowly. He's sucked them in, then he's passed the ball out, which has given his colleagues a chance to, and he's missed it. I was almost willing that. I was talking a little bit slow there, because I was wishing that kick to go over.
We saw Corey Aston then strike that one, and it just sails inches wide, Mark. So that's a little bit unlucky. It
is.
But
18 points to 20.
Yeah, the Providence scoreboard then reads Sheffield 18, Bradford 20. We've had 55 minutes of this one, and like I say, it's all a play for here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium. It's a bit tit for tat. It could go anywhere at this stage, but we see John Magren. John Magren then will make a great drive. Manages to get Bradford to the 20-metre line, their own 20-metre line. As we see Sam Ellis go on the blind side, and Sam Ellis is then picked off with ease by Gary Lowe. And now Bradford come up with the error and knock on. That will see Sheffield race to form the scrum so that the referee stops the clock. Bradford in no real agency there, but Brandon Wilkinson then coming up with a knock on. And Mark, we've said it before, and I dare say, I don't know how many times we're going to say it again this season, but try.
is the Big Match Live on BCB 106.6 FM. Brought to you by Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away. Visit facebook.com/supporting Bulls for your...
Well, I think welcome back is in order. We do apologise. We think this very old and very dainty, very famous Wakefield ground, we've had some problems here with dropout, and but we're back with you now, we believe. So you haven't missed anything apart from Sheffield attacked the Bradford line and put a grubber kick in, didn't go anywhere. Bradford got the ball back, and Bradford bringing the ball some 30 metres downfield. A penalty for aggressive play from Sheffield there, giving Bradford a penalty on about the 45-metre mark of their half. The kick down to the 30-metre mark-ish of the Sheffield half, and Bradford will tap this and go.
So Damien Sirinen manages to find his way towards the Sheffield Eagles 20-metre line, and again there's a little bit of afters in the tackle there, but Damien Siren's having none of it and just tells Elliot and Scheller, if that's all you've got, mate, forget it. So Bradford sent apart then, and Brandon Wilkinson wrapped up on that tackle. Corey Aston will go on a little scooting run looking for runners, but eventually is wrapped up in the tackle. That's around his head, but the referee is allowing play to go on. What can Bradford do? Joe Keys attacking the line again, gives the ball to Joe Bentley. The gap is suddenly closed there by Dane Slaughter and Matt James, but Bradford still have the ball. What will Keys do? Dancing one way, dancing another. He goes to Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen from a standing start eventually finds James Bentley. James Bentley spins one way, using his size and power that is quite elusive there. And again now Bradford on the fifth and last will kick. Corey Aston will find Ilias Makani. Ilias Makani will palm to Vila Alafifi. Vila Alafifi keeps the ball alive through Sam Hallis. Hallis then finds Makani. Makani then comes up with an error, and that will see Menzi Yeri pick the ball up for Sheffield, and Sheffield now go on the attack and fully making 20 metres there on that run, and Bradford now suddenly go from attack to defending, and Sheffield get to their own 40-metre line, but come up with an error, and that is a knock-on. And Mark, we saw then the frailties of Bradford. I'm not having a go, and people may say, oh, you're being negative, and you're rattling on about the team and stuff like that, but we just saw the frailties of Bradford there, how they can quickly go from attack and be in a very strong position to having to defend, and and unfortunately it shouldn't be like that.
No, it's shape and structure, it's thought processes, it's physical and mental. And what I mean by physical is you've got to have your adrenaline's going to be flowing, you've got to be aggressive in everything you do, and you've got to think about the next move. You've got to think one jump ahead. If we don't put this ball over in the corner, what we're going to do next? What's the opponent's going to do? And good rugby league players think one move and two moves ahead. This match could go either way. I wouldn't like to call this match now. I hope it doesn't come down to a refereeing decision. I hope it doesn't come down to a drop pass. I hope it doesn't come to being offside or something like that. I think Bradford deserve the victory. I think they've slightly been the better side, but they've given Sheffield an easy run than Sheffield I would have thought would have imagined.
Well, there's 20 minutes left on the clock, then on the Provident clock, as we see Bradford get underway. Damien Sirinen takes a drive, and that will see Bradford managing to inch their way towards the Sheffield 30-metre line. On the second tackle, then Liam Kirk is wrapped up as Corey Aston puts the ball through, and Lee Smith finds Vila Alafifi. Vila Alafifi spins one way, then offloads in the tackle. That will see Gary Lowe take that with ease, and another error from Bradford sees Sheffield get the possession then, and will go forward through Menzi Yeri. Menzi Yeri will fit his team just 5 metres shy of the halfway line, as Sheffield still continue their forward run, and we'll look through Sam Scott to get some momentum. The ball comes loose. That's a knock-on. Now, which way is the referee going to award the scrub? Is he going to give head and feet to Bradford, or is he going to give head and feet to Sheffield? He's going to give it to Bradford. So, Mark, that's another error that Sheffield have come up with.
Yeah, Sheffield come up with another error. Both coaches won't be happy with the amount of errors in the game. I mean, there's been far too many spilled balls, knock-ons, etc., etc. No. But let's hope Bradford can come away with the points.
Well, I make that the 7th error of the game for Sheffield. Bradford have made 5 errors, and the penalty count stands at 7 penalties apiece, Mark.
Even Stevens on. Well, that's why the game's close, isn't it, in terms of points? And Bradford now have got to do something, I think. And I think if they could do something and score a try, put some expect. I think Sheffield might just call it a draw. I don't mean they'll give him on purpose, but I think Bradford then have won the mental battle, and I think that's what they've got to do. They've got to get upfield, and they've got to support the ball carrier. Keys and
what a fantastic ball from Joe Keys. Sees Damien Sirden go one way, then the other, and Damien Sirden, still not tackled, manages to find his way to the 10-metre line, but the ball is ripped out. One-on-one tackle there, and Sheffield Eagles through Ben Blackmore get the possession back as Damien Sirden was away. But
well, he should have passed earlier to the supporting play and not turned back inside, and it was a one-on-one steal, you're right. Frustrating for Damien after all that work, something special. That should have been a try with a conversion, but instead it's Sheffield with a football. My Jeff Toovey will be wondering what he's going to do to get rid of this frustration.
Well, Blackmore then for the Sheffield Eagles will then keep the ball going forward, and that will go to Gary Lowe. Gary Lowe will then switch the play, and the ball's still alive. Sheffield managing with ease to offload in the tackle, will eventually come to Jack Owens, and Jack Owens will then kick out. Sorry, not Jack Owens, I apologise. Remy Magnet will then kick out on the full. He apologises to his Bradford teammates as the Bradford Bulls army of travelling fans from Chavs Corner strike up the band to the left of us. So they certainly feel Bradford have got something to now get stuck in, Mark, and try and wrap up this game.
Well, that's a gift to Bradford, and Marginet punches the air, apologises to his fellow Sheffield players, but it's done out on the full. And that's what happens when you get a rush of blood to your head and you're trying to win the game. You're sometimes just going to play to your sets out and play to the game plan.
Well, Bradford then with the ball in hand. We'll see Brandon Wilkinson trying to get some forward momentum for this Bradford Bull and his teammates, as Bradford, with 17 minutes left on the clock, will go forward again through Liam Kirk. Liam Kirk on the second tackle is eventually wrapped up just over, 35 minutes shy, as Sam Alice finds John Magrin. John Magrin goes one way, splits the gap, but the gap again is eventually closed, and Bradford inch their way towards the 20-metre line. Damien Surnenbaum bursts through the 20-metre line, manages to offload to Joe Keys, and Joe Keys finds Sam Alice. Sam Alice goes one way, coming back now on the inside, drops his shoulder, and Sam Alice only knows one way, and that will be forward, as he's still going and crawling forward, eventually gets to the 10-metre line before being pinned down, and the referee shouts hell. Lee Smith, Ross Peltier too. Oh, fantastic play from Bradford, but that will see the ball eventually find its way to Amari Carroll. Amari Carroll goes across the field.
Keep going,
use his big frame? And why not score? And that's what he does eventually. Now, that's a fantastic try for Bradford. I have to describe the scenes here. The fans in this main stand are on their feet and applauding that one, because Amari Caro with his hat-trick of tries, and I'm telling you now, Mark, that was superb. And we've seen a little bit of afters now. We see one or two players, Sheffield players, coming together with Bradford players. Elliot and Cheller in there. He's just having words with Joe Keys and certainly wagging the finger at Joe Keys. And the referee's ushering him away as Keith Senior, the ex-Leeds and Sheffield and Great Britain international, comes in and splits the play. Bradford suddenly walk away then. Lee Smith showing a bit of enterprise there to bring the troops back and away from all the argy-bargy that ensued after that score from Amari Caro. Hobbo.
Well, you heard me shouting there, don't stop. He's got the frame, he's got the bulk, he's got the speed. He tends to want to jink and turn rather than go on the tilt. On that occasion, he was right to do that. He came inside, took 2 on, they couldn't hold him. He came back inside again, took 2 more on, they couldn't hold him. He used that big London frame, that big bulky rugby union frame, the power, and eventually Sheffield just didn't put his legs to the ground, and he scored a fabulous try, a try out of nothing. And that's the sort of thing he can do, and he needs to do, and use that power and that size to more, to a betterment. A fabulous try. I was excited there. I was willing him over the line, and he touched the ball down. It's now Sheffield 18, Bradford 24. Corey Aston with a kick to come from about 12 metres to the left-hand side of the Sheffield post here at Wakefield, and let's hope Bradford going to win this, because the fans deserve it, and frankly Bradford deserve it.
Well, it's to be hoped now that Bradford can really, really turn the screw and kick on. Corey Aston then composes himself, strikes the ball, and He does convert that one, as the cheers will tell you from the fans in the main stand. So the score on the Providence scoreboard reads Sheffield Eagles 18, the Bradford Bulls 26. There's 15 minutes left on the clock in this one, and Bradford now needs to come.
It's not over yet, Pete.
No, it's not over by any.
There's more points to come, I think,
but I think Bradford now have got to come, and now, like we said, they've got to come with a bit more, oomph is the word I'm looking for.
You know, the two half-backs have played well today. Keys and Aston have played superbly well for Bradford. They've totally outplayed their opposite numbers. But for me, the man who takes it forward, I know O'Cara's got a hat-trick, but Sirenen.
Yep.
Sirenen rips it into the heart of the opponent's defence every time. He's brave, he's fearless, he has a go. You can see the opponents, when they see him coming, muscle up on him. They're thinking, what can this guy do? I think he's been superb as Sirenen today.
I think he has actually been superb. And Bradford get a penalty as Sheffield come in and steal. And the referee gives Bradford a subsequent second penalty and marches Sheffield a further 10 metres for the chat back after the initial penalty was awarded. Joe Keys then will kick for touch, and that will find touch just round about 45 metres away from the Sheffield try line. James Bentley then taps that to himself, and James Bentley goes one way and goes the other, and eventually is wrapped up just shy of the 40-metre line. What can Bradford do as Rhys Butterworth is on the promising prospect for the future coming on in this one? And Bradford now, through Mikel Alaleski, will get to the 30-metre line, and Rhys Butterworth goes in at acting half, and Rhys Butterworth will now act as the acting half, and he will look now to it Corey Aston. Corey Aston then finds Mikel Alaleski. Mikel Alaleski straightens up and takes it to the Sheffield defenders as Bradford now sit 15 metres shy of the Sheffield line. Corey Aston puts it through hand, finds Joe Keys to James Bentley. James Bentley then manages to fall around about 8 metres shy as Lee Smith pinches some easy yards, puts a little chip kick through, and that was inventive play that will see Sheffield held up over the line and see Bradford get a dropout, and a fantastic little bit of inventiveness from Lee Smith, Matt, that we've not seen. And again, great play that will see Bradford get the ball back.
Well, Lee Smith looked to the open side, but Bradford were a little bit too shallow. So what he did was he put the ball off the outside of his boot, right on the corner flag in his far corner. It went round the back, and then it made the Sheffield defender turn his back and try and kill that ball. And what Bradford cleverly did was dragged him back over the line. So they got the kick out, got the drop out, and the ball back. And Leski's just barged now 15 metres Banfield. So Bradford attacking again from 40 metres out. That's what I talked about earlier when I said think one move and two moves ahead in the game. And that's what Lee Smith did. Yeah.
Well, that was a fantastic run from Mikel Alaleski. That was like watching Martin Afire striding down the wing. But we then see, I think I've just, you know something, I've just cursed him there.
I know. And just as I say that, to explain to our listeners, Alaleski had a run there from the kick-off, and it was like watching a rhino galloping way across the grasslands of South Africa after some prey. But then he had another dig, a tackle later, and he dropped it.
Well,
there you go.
Another error, that is. Yeah, another error then from Mikel Alaleski. See Sheffield get the putting at the scrum, and that's going to be. Oh well, now then that bounced off the floor. Hit Marginet's chest and went forward, but the referee said play on. So again, and I can see there's a couple of spectators stood in front of us, Mark, who were offering the glasses to the referee. Yes. But the referee gives a penalty then to Bradford, because he says that Sheffield again are holding down and not letting the actual Bradford defensive player get up, Mark, and clear the ruck area.
Yes, he has said that. So, and Bradford get the penalty. I mean, I'm not too sure I agreed with that, but I'll take it because I'm a Bradford man. Yeah. We'll take it.
So Bradford then. Can Bradford put this game to bed? Damien Sirenen will go forward. He'll get to the 10-metre line, and Sheffield eventually haul him down. Rhys Butterworth in at acting half. Rhys Butterworth finds Corey Aston. Corey Aston goes one way and spots the gap, but the gap is eventually closed very quickly, and he will be brought down just over the 10-metre line as Bradford will now come back towards his main stand side, and that will see Sam Alice go towards a try line. A little daft from Sam Alice, but eventually, again, he's held up just 2 metres shy of the Sheffield try line. Joe Keys dummy, puts a little chip kick through, and James Bentley was taken out of the play there.
Well, I thought he was.
The touch judge does nothing, the referee does nothing, but James Bentley was through, Mark. He would have scored if he'd not been held up, but unfortunately, that goes unpunished. Sheffield have the ball back, and Bradford now will defend through the likes of Rhys Butterworth and Brandon Wilkinson in there to bring Sheffield down, and that will see Dane Slaughter and eventually Sheffield get a penalty over on the open terrace side, Mark.
Well, they're saying they're offside, the Bradford Bulls, but yet Sheffield have played offside at virtually every play of the ball all game. So I find that incredible. Good kick from Sheffield there, getting another 40 metres. So from Bradford attacking and putting Sheffield under real pressure, they're now defending in their own 40 metre area.
So we now see Sheffield then with the ball in hand, and they will go in the centre park, trying to get some forward momentum.
10 minutes left, 18 points to 26.
Yeah, it's a thriller here at the Beaumont Legal Stadium. Don't go away from this one as Sheffield go towards the Bradford try line. Now sit around about 8 metres short of the try line. What can Bradford do here on the fourth tackle? Bradford will again defend and manage to pick off the Sheffield attacking play as the ball comes back across the park. Then Sheffield will put it through and eventually finds the Sheffield player. Then Sheffield come up with a knock on. That was Matt James knocking on after excellent play from Matty Fozzard and Carl Trout to get Sheffield into what would have been a good scoring position, but Sheffield knock on. That will give the ball at the scrum to Bradford. And again, Mark, it's we've seen this play now, haven't we? We've seen the play where both, error after error after error, and they are coach killers, aren't they?
The game's been a bit too much of an error-strewn performance, but it's been very, very exciting and some great football played, some good attacking football. Hence, we've got 44 points scored, and I don't think they're the last points we'll see.
No.
8 minutes and 53. BCB 106.6 FM, of course, home of Live Sport in Bradford.
So we now see then Bradford come away from the scrum with Ilias McCanny. Ilias McCanny will manage to find his way just shy of the 20 metre line. Rhys Butterworth in at pivot. He will then feed Mikel Alaleski. Mikel Alaleski will go on another run and manage to get Bradford over towards their own 30 metre line as Corey Aston then will come one way and eventually is wrapped up through the defence of Sheffield. Bradford then play the ball, and Bradford now with Damien Sirenen find the gap. If Damien Sirenen offloaded there to Lee Smith was away. Unfortunately didn't look, but we see Rhys Butterworth take a little scoot forward and a little bit away from the run. I like Rhys Butterworth when he scoots away like that, although I think it's a fantastic prospect for the future. Bradford then through Lee Smith find Corey Aston on the fifth and last. Corey Aston kicks. That will find its way into the hands of Gary Lowe, and Gary Lowe will come right back across the park before straightening up and trying to split the Bradford defence. But the likes of James Bentley, Damien Sirenen and Rhys Butterworth all in there to bring down Gary Lowe. So Sheffield then now centre park on the second tackle of this set of 6. What can they do? They will look to go hunting, and Bradford having to defend, and then Sheffield come up with a knock on, and that will give Bradford back possession. About 45 metres away, Hubble, from the Sheffield line, and I think that now should hand Bradford the incentive, Mark.
I think that could be the game changer.
Yeah.
I think that knock on there could be the game changer, and I think if Bradford just can shut this game down now, I'm not saying they don't go for another try, because of course they will, but they've got to force the error out of Sheffield, make none themselves, just control the football. They're in the centre of the field-ish, 42 minutes upfield, and scrum head and feet to Bradford. They've got to shut this game down. With 7 minutes and 14 seconds left, they're leading by 8 points.
Well, I make that the 12th error of the Sheffield game today, as we see Bradford get underway with James Bentley. Then James Bentley manages to get his way to the 30 metre line and then was tackled. He will play the ball, and Amari Caro will take a scoot, and Amari Caro is inching his way towards the 20 metre line, and a lot of messing about at the ruck area again. Brandon Wilkinson then takes the ball from Rhys Butterworth, and Brandon Wilkinson manages to get over the 20 metre line as Rhys Butterworth in again, finds Corey Aston. Corey Aston finds Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier goes one way, burst over the 10-metre line, and Bradford now sit 8 metres shy of the Sheffield try line. What can they do here? Brandon Wilkinson goes one way. Brandon Wilkinson will go towards a line. He's just inches short there as he's held up just, a metre short of the try line there. And now Bradford will bring it this way towards the main stand side as Joe Keys feeds Damien Sirinen. Massive gap there for Damien Sirinen to go through, but eventually the gap is closed, and the referee says that was the last tackle.
Well, Sirinen wasn't aware of that, I don't think.
No. Well, I don't think we were aware, because the referee didn't even. I was counting tackles.
No,
I got that as a fourth mark, and I think Bradford had been robbed there.
I think they had been robbed. He didn't shout, his hand didn't go up, and then Sirinen, I think, was near enough and clever enough to work out how many tackles there were, and Damien wouldn't have taken that drive. He'd have left it to somebody to either kick it or run it. But anyway, there you go. It's happened now, and Sheffield have the ball back. So
we see Sheffield then through Matty Fozzard try to work the ball towards the open terrace side, and that ball will eventually find its way into the hands of Gary Lowe. Gary Lowe to Menzieri. Menzieri manages to offload in the tackle to Scott Wheeldon, and then Sheffield are brought down. But now Sheffield are going to get a penalty for an infringement at the play of the ball, and that will give Sheffield, that will piggyback Sheffield further down. They're now on the they're just shy of the Bradford 30-metre line. So Sheffield with a penalty. Are they going to kick it or are they going to tap it? He's going to tap the ball, and this will see Ben Blackmore. Ben Blackmore will take the ball straight towards the Bradford sticks before eventually he's wrapped up on the 20-metre line of Bradford. Bradford's defence, and he's going to have to stand firm if they're going to repel this one. But the gaps open up, Mark, and we see the referee call Sheffield for a forward pass. And I'm telling you now, Bradford have got out of jail there, Obbo.
Well, Bradford have got out of jail there because there was the sliding defence didn't slide quick enough. And the winger there, he could have needed a pair of socks, couldn't he, and still scored the try. And it was borderline, was that forward pass. Now, it's easier for the linesman to see it and the referee than it is for us because we're 40 metres back. But Bradford did get out of jail there because the gap opened up for Sheffield, and there was no way Bradford were going to stop that try. Luckily enough, the pass to the winger on this right-hand side was adjudged forward by the referee.
Well, Tom Grant, the referee from Dewsbury, has had, all in all, Mark, he's had a very, very good game. I think he's been Johnny on the spot on numerous occasions. But I think Bradford have also...
when it was that would have chucked it in there.
Yeah, I think that Bradford have also got out of jail a couple of times with Sheffield's... Sheffield's inconsistency and Sheffield's lack of... just general vision and general play.
Correct, Sheffield, Mark Ashton.
Oh, that's a bone cruncher of a tackle there that sees Rhys Bitterworth pinned to the floor by Menzieri. Rhys Bitterworth just gets up, and he'll certainly know about that one tomorrow, will young Rhys. But Bradford then, with the ball in hand, will manage to get towards the halfway line before being given a penalty for, again, Gary Lowe and, it's not Gary Lowe, I do apologise. It's Matt James. Matt James and pinning Ilias McCartney to the floor and ragging Ilias McCartney around a little bit. And again, the referee said, no, I'm not having that. So he'll give the penalty to Bradford. Bradford will kick for touch and manage to get the ball into touch around about 35 metres shy now from the Sheffield try line. Villarreal Afifi will get this one back underway for us as Ross Peltier takes the first drive of this set of 6, and Ross Peltier is brought down. Bradford don't go forward, they stay around about 35 metres shy of the try, but they've got another few tackles to go in this set of 6 as John Margaret takes a second drive, then takes the ball from Rhys Bitterworth. Rhys Bitterworth plays that one, finds Joe Keys finds Damien Sirinen, finds Lee Smith. Lee Smith should score and does score. That's a fantastic try for the ex-Great Britain international made by Joe Keys. Joe Keys spots the gap, finds Sirinen, the link plays right. Lee Smith goes in. What a brilliant try, Obbo.
Well, I criticised Lee Smith earlier on, and I expected a bit more of him. Well, he gave it there, didn't he? And a fabulous pass, wasn't it, from Joe Keys? Saw the gap on this left-hand side, running down this slight slope. And, fabulous stuff. But Lee Smith had a lot of work to do. He went outside, he went inside. His body swerve and his position of play, his speed, and his timing to run onto the pass meant that he would open the Sheffield defence. They did that. They touched the ball down some 5 metres in from the main flag side here, leaving a difficult kick for Corey Aston, but now making the score. The Bradford Bulls leading, Sheffield Eagles 18, the Bradford Bulls 30, with a conversion to come. and I think that's richly deserved. I think Bradford Bulls would have been hard done by if they'd lost this game.
I'm not going to take anything away today, Mark, from this Bradford performance. And, I know people say, you're overcritical, they make mistakes with the score and stuff like that. But we can only say it as we see it. But on the showing that we've seen today, Mark, that has shown just what Bradford are capable of in patches. It's not been a fluid game, but it's certainly been a game where Bradford have dominated in patches.
Yeah, well, I would even go so far as to say, Pete, that if Bradford had played like this in every game this season...
Oh, brilliant from Corey Aston. Sorry, Mark.
If Bradford had played like this all season in every game, I think you'd find they'd be staying in this championship.
Yeah,
because the performance has been solid enough. There's been some mistakes and there's been some dropping of balls and some... But you're going to expect then a team that's changing every week in terms of positional situations, etc., etc. But, not many people put 32 past Sheffield.
No, well, I've got to be honest with you, Mark. Not many do put 32. Well, come here and put 32 points on them. And it's been not a bad performance. Sheffield go for the short kick-off, and the ball bounces, but does eventually find its way into the hands of Lee Smith. And Bradford will go again with this set of 6. There's round about just over a minute left on the clock as Ilias McCartney managed to get Bradford to his own 30-metre line, eventually wrapped up by the Sheffield defenders. A quick play of the ball, Reece Butterworth then makes a little scoop, Reece Butterworth goes away, and eventually the ball finds its way to Ethan Hodgson. Ethan Hodgson then is eventually brought down over on the main stand terrace side as Bradford will go again, as we see Corey Aston go one way and then straightens up and comes the other. Sam Alice goes one way and comes the other. But Bradford with the ball through Joe Keys. Joe Keys then finds Lee Smith again. Lee Smith goes one way, spins another, manages to keep the ball alive, finds Damien Siren, and Damien Siren finds John Magrin. Then Sheffield come up and John Magrin offloaded in the tackle, and I don't think Bradford were ready for it, but Sheffield kick ahead here, and we now see a foot race, and that is very, very cleverly garrored. And the referee's going to stop the clock here, Mark. Now, what's he going to stop the clock for and bring the ball back? That was certainly a foot race there between Gary Lowe, and he left Ilias McCartney. I always thought he sold Ilias McCartney, got plenty of pace, and was one of the fastest players. But I tell you what, he left Ilias McCartney there behind him.
Sam Alice had different ideas, didn't he?
Yeah, Sam Alice was good. He was Johnny on the spot there and really did get that back. The referee's called the play back. It's going to form the scrum. And he's going to give the feed. Is he giving the feed to Mark? Is he going to give it to Sheffield?
I think he is going to give it to Sheffield, yeah. I think he's going to say there was a knock on there by Bradford, but we'll see.
Yep, he has. He said that it was a knock on by Bradford. Sheffield get the put in at the scrum then. 14 seconds left on the clock. What can Sheffield do here? They come up with an error. That's picked up by Amari Caro. Amari Caro manages to offload to Joe Keys. Joe Keys with a little kick over the top. Sheffield in disarray. And their final hooter goes here, and that sees Bradford win out their victors. 18 points to Sheffield, 32 points to Bradford. A hat-trick of tries from Amari Caro. Joe Keys, for me, man of the match by a mile or more.
It's very difficult today because I thought the two halves of Bradford took on the Sheffield line and caused Sheffield all kinds of problems.